In this lesson, we'll see how to find key percentage without using a calculator, how to combine those key percentages to calculate other more complex ones, how to use a calculator to find one number as a percentage of another, and also how to use a calculator to find almost any other percentage. We'll finish by looking at a couple of exam questions that use percentages. Firstly, let's look at how to find percentages without using a calculator. We'll talk through these, and as we do, we'll find those percentages of 180. To find 1% of a number, you divide the number by 100. Here, 180 divided by 100 will give you 1.8. To find 10%, you divide it by 10. So 180 divided by 10 would give you 18. To find 5%, you divide it by 10 and then divide it by 2. So 180 divided by 10 and then by 2 would give you 9, which is 5%. 50% is found by dividing the number by 2. 180 divided by 2 equals 90. To find 25, you divide by 2 and then divide by 2 again. 180 divided by 2 is 90, and then divided by 2 is 45. And lastly, to find 75%, you divide by 2 and divide by 2 again, and then add those two things together. So in this case, 180, 50% would be 90, 25% would be 45. You add them together to get 135. You combine those together is 75%. Now, to find more complex percentages, we can combine these key percentages by adding them to the amount that we wish to find. For instance, if we wanted to find 16%, we'd combine 1%, 10%, and 5%. So if we add 1.8 plus 18 plus 9 together, I'm going to line up the decimal places and I'm going to put zeros in to fill up the spaces in between. If I add those straight down, I'll get 8. Then the decimal place will come down. 1 plus 8 plus 9 would give us 18. So we write the 8 under here and carry the 1. And then 1 plus 1 would give us 2. So our answer to 16% is 28.8. We can also subtract them as well in the same manner. For example, if you wanted to find 24%, we'd take 25% and we'd subtract 1%. So 25% is 45. We put the decimal point and then a 0 after it because 1% is 1.8 and we want to make sure we have the place values filled. We can't take away 8 from 0, so we're going to make that into 10 by borrowing from the 5, which we'll make into 4. 10 take away 8 will give you 2, the decimal point comes down. 4 take away 1 is 3, and 4 take away nothing is 4. So our answer to 24% is 43.2. So now we'll look at working out one number as a percentage of another. We'll find out how to do this using a calculator in a moment. But first, let's look at this by using our knowledge of equivalent fractions. I know that a percentage can be written as something over 100 as a fraction. So I want to create an equivalent fraction over 100. Here we're finding 19 as a percentage of 25. Now I know there are 4 25s in 100, so I can multiply 25 by 4 to get 100. I can do the same with the 19 on the top of the fraction to get 76 over 100. This can now be written as 76% because our fraction is per 100. So in order to use a calculator to work out percentages, we need to know where the percentage button is. This can vary on different calculators. On this one here, it's just over the open bracket. It's written in orange, which means that we need to actually press Shift first before pressing it. For instance, if we wanted to find 95% of 180, we would do 180 times 95 shift percentage. This gives us the percentage symbol there. We can press equals to give us 171. 171 is 95% of 180. Here we have an exam question which uses percentages to find the best value product from these stores. Pause the video now to work through the question and then press play when you'd like me to go through the answer. So which box of cereal here is going to be better value for money? In the first store, you get 400 grams for 20% off the £5 cost. That's in store A. In store B, you get 400 grams plus 30% for that £5. So for the first store, store A, let's find out 10% is going to be £0.5 or 50p. So 20% is going to be twice that, which would be £1. So if we do the 5, take away 1, that would give us £4. So we're going to have 400 grams divided by 4, which would give us 100 grams per pound. So that's in store A. In store B, here we're going to get 30% more. So let's find out what 10% of that 400 grams is going to be, which would be 40 grams. If we times the 10% by 3, we'd get 30%. So if we times the 40 by 3, we'll get 120. If we then add that 120 onto the 400 grams that's in the original pack, you'll get 520 grams. So now we know we're getting 520 grams for £5. So we can divide 520 by £5 to get 104 grams per pound. This means that store B is going to be the better value for money. In the next question, a bonus of 2,100 is shared by 10 people who work for a company. 40% of the bonus is shared by the 3 managers of the company, and the rest of the bonus is shared between the 7 salespeople. One of the salespeople states that, "I'll get 25% more money if this is shared equally among all of us." Pause the video now to work through the question and see if he's right. Press play when you'd like me to go through the answer for you. A bonus of 2,100 is shared by 10 people who work for a company. So firstly, we're going to find 10% by dividing that by 10. That gives us £210. If we now times this by 4, we'll get 40%, which if we times the 210 by 4, we'll get 840. That's how much the managers get. So if we subtract that from the 2,100, we'll get 1,260. That's what's shared amongst the 7 salespeople. So now we need to use our bus stop method to divide that between the 7 salespeople. So 1,260 divided by 7. How many 7s go into 1 is 0, so I'll carry the 1 over. How many 7s go into 12 would be 1, with 5 left over. How many 7s will go into 56 will be 8, with nothing left over. And how many 7s into 0 is 0. So that we've worked out, he now gets £180 currently. What would he get if it was to be split between all 10 of them equally? Well, let's do 2,100 and divide it by 10. That gives us £210. So that's how much he'd get if they split it equally. But what he's saying is he's going to get 25% extra. Well, how much extra does he actually get? 210, take away the 180, would give £30. Now, in order to find out what that is of 180, we're going to need to actually find 30 out of 180. But there's a quicker way we can do this. If he's saying he's going to get 25% more, let's find out what 25% of 180 is. And we can find this quite simply by dividing 180 by 2 to get 90. That would be 50%. And we divide it by 2 again to get £45. That's 25%. So the answer is he's not going to get 25% more. He's going to get £30 more, which if we used a calculator would be about 16%. That means he's incorrect in stating he'll get 25% more if the bonus was split equally amongst all the staff, as 25% would be £45, and he's only going to get £30 more. In this lesson, we looked at how to find key percentages using division, then add those together to find the more complex ones. We also saw how to display one number as a percentage of another. Then we used a calculator to also find one number as a percentage of another, and we also used the percentage key on the calculator to find 1% of another. In the next video, we'll look at percentage increase and decrease. I'll see you then.